is willing to take risk, is a risk taker, willing to take challenges, and can be a very calculating, very gregarious personality. Somebody can actually define if this thing is going to work, this thing is not going to work. Very quickly calculating without any numbers. This is what my definition of an entrepreneur.
Very interesting, because when you use the word entrepreneur is to enter into something. What the thought that came to my mind, I read this a couple of years back and it was very interesting. He said an entrepreneur is like a mosquito. If there is no opening, they make one.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good one, huh? That's a good one.
Very insightful as well. Yeah. If there is no opening, they make one. So
I also people don't perceive the other part of that.
The machar.
They bite you, you get malaria.
Yeah.
Stay away from them.
Well, we can touch upon that also.
Or dengue, God forbid.
That's a different subject. Yeah.
That's a different subject.
We'll go into the mosquito and the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you become a successful entrepreneur? What are the traits you need? What personality traits do you need? What training do you need? What experience do you need?
First and foremost is the kind of attitude you have.
Okay.
And there are a blend of things in this attitude. For example, one thing that I quoted last time, no is a word to be used at your own discretion. Don't take no for an answer. There is a way, because the world may come around and tell you cannot do this, and that is where you really need to have the attitude of yes, I can. And you can only say that if you personally, truly, passionately believe in what your aspirations are. Because most of the time people may not understand what you're out there for. And especially the kind of environment that we're living in today, and I'll just say this in Urdu a little bit, is that when a child is educated and he's ready to work, a big question comes up, which is, should you be an entrepreneur or should you start working in a company? And ज़्यादातर हमारे यहाँ ये कहते हैं कोई कुर्सी टेबल वाला काम कर दो. An entrepreneur may not start off with a kursi table wala काम, the table chair काम. So A, you cannot take no for an answer. Second very important trait is networking skills. Amazing networking skills. So even when you're not selling, you're technically thinking how to sell.
And excellent selling skills also,
Excellent selling
always
skills.
ready to wear the salesman hat. That is also. I would agree with Farhad over here, and no specific training can be done to make somebody an entrepreneur. However, I'd like to pose this question to the audience also, to you also, Farhad.
You like doing that. Last time I ended up interviewing two people.
Do you need to have the germs? Are they inborn, or an entrepreneur can be created? That's the question we need to ask.
Cultivated, yeah.
That's a very interesting question, because there are different ways of looking at it. And suffice it to say for the time being, because I do realize that maybe it's not very easy to explain the entire process to everybody, the viewers, because it's not a two-way dialogue. But potential-wise, yes, everybody has the genetics to be an entrepreneur. Okay. Genetically, they do. It's basically here, kind of environment that we have, and then
yes, but I'm sorry to cut you, but here they seem to have this mindset that if you come from a business family, a lot of people say that if you come from a business family, you will automatically be good at business. Unme wo jarasim hote hain, but if you come from a salaried sort of family, if you come from a salaried family, they turn around and say, "Nahi, bhai, we can't do this. We can't manage a business with that salary."
When you're born, you're born. I don't know about the jarasim.
Absolutely, Farhad. I agree. When you're born, you are born.
You're born, and then obviously you were born at that time. You weren't thrown at that time. So you were born. You were nurtured in a particular environment, and you had a particular mindset being ingrained into your mind that just because your dad is a businessman, you can be an amazing businessman, but not necessarily. So it's again the kind of nurturing that we've had.
You're saying right now that you should not be in your vocabulary, right? And if somebody says that this is not a good idea, or this is not whatever, you should just be, forget it, I'll do what I want to. But remember, at the same time, you said somebody came up to you and said, I have a concept for this, which you knew was a useless concept, which has been done before. So how do you know that what you've hit the nail on the head, and what you have is an interesting concept or an interesting service or or a niche?
No is a word to be used at your discretion.
That's what he said. I guess
that's the comment. So if you want to say no, if I accept that yes, it's a no, I should accept that it's a yes, it's a no. And although everything said and done, when I said the attitude must be that of a go-getter, having said this, an entrepreneur is also a very good listener. Understands, evaluates, calculates risk like crazy. If anything, there is this particular book, very interesting book. It's called Breakthrough Company by Keith McFarland. They've done some study based on the attentional and interpersonal skills or some test of that sort.
Of an entrepreneur.
Of an entrepreneur. And they've discovered that they're not very risk-taking the way that we imagine them to be. They are risk-takers, but not the kind that we would imagine them to be, blindly jumping into situations. Very, very calculated, because they realize at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, it's my life at stake. And there's another very interesting attitude, speaking of the attitude, and this is something that I read somewhere, and to a large extent I've been enjoying practicing it as well. He said, it is better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. You have a dream. Don't ask people, would it work? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Jump into it. And most entrepreneurs, another important, I think the personality traits will just keep on evolving as we speak. After a hard day's work, you may still not get the result. Can you still go back with a smile to bed?
Yeah, that is something that...
The kind of pressure you have to face, an entrepreneur, it is fun. It gets your adrenaline rushing. I mean, there are times you could not be, you could have incurred heavy losses. The business is not picking up. 7 months down the line, you discover that, okay, I'm in...
Deep trouble.
Deep trouble.
Yes, trouble.
Yeah, trouble.
Deep trouble. Yes.
Trouble.
But I'm in one of my entrepreneurial moods right now. I had to control my vocabulary.
Yes.
That's another important personality trait, vocababary. Let's not go into that right now.
Yes, let's not get into that, please.
You've been trying to say something.
Yeah, I've been thinking of trying to say something. You know, what I'm saying that the true entrepreneur has, is a very visionary. Sometimes, and most of the time, the plan is over here in their head. And, as Farhad was also saying, again, I'm adding up to you what you're saying, that their actions may look, the people around them may look very, very wrong and very risk-taking. Sometimes, as they have a risk-taking personality, they take very high risk and the business is not working the way it should be according to the statistics, according to the consultants. And still they keep on going, and this is one of the best traits I've seen in successful entrepreneurs, that they just listen to their mind. That can be dangerous at times. However, it should not get on their head that their success should not blind them, which is a part of a very big disadvantage of an entrepreneur's side. However, successful and it should not blind you. Sometimes it happens. However, these people have a very good vision, great vision, and they can see 3 years ahead. Okay, I will make losses for 3 years, but this thing I'm going to do during the journey, and I will achieve that. Sometimes their decision may trouble people around them, especially, and this is a very important point I'm bringing up to you, that if you are unmarried person, you have no responsibility, or you're a married person with a lot of responsibilities, certain expenses you have to maintain every month, what would you do in that kind of situation? And there are also a lot of situations where, shall we start the business right in the beginning of our career? Or shall we do some job, get some capital and all that?
That is such a good point.
That
is such a good point. Actually, we need to go on a commercial break. I don't want to cut that off because that was going to be my next point. I think it's really important. What kind of training do you get for actually becoming that risk
or develop the business acumen.
Or develop that.
We'll come back very soon.
We'll come back.
No problem.
Split second in this case.
We will be back in, as they said, a few seconds, extended seconds.
Please
join us in the studio
after that.
Welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for watching the program. We're talking to Farhad Karamally and Essa Allawala, and we're talking about entrepreneurship. And a very good point that you made before we went on break. Essa, you finally got to speak.
After Farhad.
Sorry, Farhad. Sorry, we're just teasing you.
Okay. But, one thing I've noticed, as I was mentioning the point of getting married and unmarried, and something I've noticed in a very successful entrepreneur family, and I'm talking specifically in Pakistan, and there is a very important term which the entrepreneurs use in our business families over there, कि एक तो word this दुकान पे बैठो, and there's another term we use कि किसी और की दुकान पे बैठो, because if you start business work at your father's premises, there will always be an element of respect who the employees will give it to you because you're the owner's son, and frankly speaking, you don't learn much.